What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Now that we've gotten introductions and other happy crap out of the way, we can actually get to, perhaps for some of you, the first official review that you've ever seen here on the CoverKillerNation channel. And I'm glad that you joined me for this particular review, because this is a band that really metal fans have kind of polarizing opinions about regarding whether or not they like them. And I think this is a perfect start, especially for some of you newcomers that are coming over from a channel that touches metal, perhaps only on sparse occasions. And we're going to be talking about the AFTERMAN, ASCENSION, by Coheed and Cambria. Now, you can't see it because the video is gone, but I actually reviewed Coheed and Cambria's last album, Year of the Rainbow, a affair that I actually enjoyed a lot. In fact, it was an album that got rapid-fire spins at work, and definitely got them a couple more fans just based off of what people heard whenever they were in the store shopping around for whatever their whimsy was. It's really got something to do with his voice, the way that the music is able just to flow. They're able to make progressive alternative, as I dub it, very entertaining, but also very accessible to people. So people are able to, and new fans are able to kind of dive into this and become a little bit more akin to what those of us in the metal field, or those of us in the progressive field, know as, well, progressive music. Coheed and Cambria also are the masters of the concept album, considering their first, 5 or so releases have spanned the same saga, the Amory saga, and this is no different. This is almost like starting a brand new chapter of it, so we're not really getting off of that topic whatsoever. It's just kind of a new beginning, so to speak. I don't know. It's a weird way to even phrase it, but let's talk about this record. This record is actually only 40 minutes in length, so for those of you who are expecting a long-winded affair, well, you're going to have to maybe wait after the next album for that to actually happen. The reason for this is because the AFTERMAN has been split into, so far, 2 records, as far as we know. Another one that's going to be released in 2013. Kind of like what Green Day's doing with Uno, Dos, and Tre, only that was kind of intentional. This one may be just doing to the part that there's just so much material that was written for this, that they had to split it up. And let's face it, Coheed and Cambria, as I just mentioned, master of the long spanning concept albums. So this really makes all the sense in the world. So this 40-minute affair, what can they do in 40 minutes? We know what they can do in close to, 60 or 70. So that means that this is going to be kind of a torrid affair, correct? Well, it's varied, that's for one thing, that's for sure. It's definitely a varied release. It's one that's able to really start off very softly, very calmly, has a nice, beautiful interlude to it to kind of get you in that thought process, in that frame of mind, kind of taking you back into this whole saga that's been going on, and kind of gives you that cinematic feel that you really need for something like this. Now, the staple of this record is going to be the 4 parts, 4 of the tracks, which are the key entity extraction points. This is called key entity extraction, but I like to call them extraction points because it's individually chronicling 4 different perspectives of the story. And this is going to be what's going to compose a bulk of the album. The very first one is the single that is off the record. It's track number 2, and then 3 will come in a row later on in the album. And overall, these are the songs that you're going to reminisce a lot with, considering these are the songs that really remind you the most of the Coheed and Cambria that really you may have fallen in love with. If you're unfamiliar with this band, get familiar with this sound whenever you listen to this record, because this is something that they have incorporated in droves over the course of their entire career. Many people have wondered where this album will rank as compared to the other ones, kind of as sound-wise, so to speak. And the way that I see it is that music has been kind of progressing more and more and more with a little bit more of a cinematic idea going along with it ever since 4, but nothing will really top 5, No World for Tomorrow, for me at least, but that, of course, could change in the future. But as of right now, this album, the AFTERMAN Ascension, has not done so. But I would place this album very much akin to the same format that you heard from Year of the Rainbow, with a little bit of interminglings and intermixings of their older work. But they are definitely a band that's looking forward, kind of, instead of looking back to try to capture that past sound or something like that. There's not... If you listen to stuff from back then, from the Amory Wars saga, and listen to this now, you may be like, well, there doesn't seem to be that much of a difference. But in key aspects, there are. In key aspects, you're seeing and hearing a lot more of a cinematic approach by this band, while at the same time, the intense complexity of their signatures has perhaps waned a little bit and kind of become a little bit more discernible, so to speak. I know on Year of the Rainbow this was definitely true, where it seems like on some tracks they took a little bit of a simpler approach, and this was met with a little bit of a polarizing opinion, but let's face it, what is done that is not met with polarizing opinion? There's a fucking vice presidential debate on right now. But at any rate, this album definitely is very solid, but I think that what it lacks is what most people are going to complain about, and that's the fact that the length of it definitely gives you that feeling that a lot more needs to be said. And whenever I was describing this to my coworker a few days ago, whenever I had this popped on, the way that I felt was that it reminded me a lot of Between the Buried and Me's The Parallax, where on the EP that was released in 2011, we got a little taste, a 30-minute taste, over 3 tracks, of what this whole entire situation, this endeavor, this, large writing process was all about. But it was once we got to The Parallax Part 2, which was just released a couple of weeks ago, definitely check out that video. I'll leave a link in the description box for you guys. It's a recent one, where we really got the breadth of everything and really got to see the entire scope of the endeavor and really got to tell what The Parallax was all about. I really feel that this is going to kind of be the same. Almost as though this near 40-minute long taste of the Afterman was sort of a little teaser. Like maybe they had a little bit more that they could have offered us on this album, but instead they're harboring it all for Part 2 to really get to the real meat of the story. This is the kind of set the stage, introduce you to the characters, really get the situation primed into your mind and sort of set the ball rolling. Whereas whenever we get to the Afterman Part 2 in 2013, that's where we're really going to see a huge production that's really going to set the story all the way in motion and just be an explosive album that has some real implications behind it. So overall, I'd have to say that this album is definitely passable because the music on it is very enjoyable, the storyline is certainly enjoyable, and the variance of the music on this album certainly passes the test. Whenever you're able to change up your pacing and whenever you're able to keep me enthralled that way, then you've definitely done something right. However, I do feel that the length is lacking, and for the reasons I have just described to you, that may have been purposeful, so I can't really dock points for that. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I really liked it. It's something that definitely passes the time, and it's good music, but at the same time, it's also a quick album, so if that's something that you're kind of skittish about, that kind of keeps you really unimpressed, well, that's your prerogative, but at the same time, consider where this might be going. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.